Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
It's great to be back.
So last time, we were talking about useful everyday phrases.
Right.
And today, we're taking a deep dive into something so basic, but so essential.
Absolutely.
The foundation of English sentences.
That's right.
Subject-verb-object structure. You've been working with some materials on this.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to make sure that you feel really confident building your own simple and correct sentences in English.
Because it is such a fundamental building block. And if you can get this right, you can get so many things right.
Yeah.
It's like building a house.
Right.
You need a strong foundation.
Absolutely. So let's get right to it. We're talking about subject plus verb plus object, the SVO pattern.
Okay.
So can you just break down each of those components for us? Like, what exactly is the subject?
Sure. So the subject is basically the doer of the action, like who or what is doing something in the sentence.
Okay.
So it could be a person.
Right.
It could be a thing. It could be an idea. It's basically the star of the show in your sentence.
The star of the show.
The one who's making things happen.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And the verb.
Well, the verb is the action itself.
Okay.
It's what the subject is doing.
Right.
So it's the verb that brings the sentence to life. It gives it energy. It tells us what's going on.
So it's like the engine of the sentence.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the object is the receiver of the action. It's what or whom the action is being done to.
Okay, so let's illustrate that with a simple example.
Okay.
The sentence, I eat apples.
Perfect.
So break it down.
Okay, so in that sentence, I is the subject
Okay.
because I am the one doing the eating.
Right.
The verb is eat
Okay.
because that's the action that's taking place. And the object is apples
Okay.
because the apples are what is being eaten.
The apples are what's receiving the action.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and this is really the starting point for building those clear and grammatically correct sentences in English.
It is. And I think it's important to emphasize that while other languages might play around with word order a bit more,
Right.
English is pretty strict about this SVO structure. So mastering this is really going to give you a solid framework for everything else you do in English.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. All right, so now that we have the basic components down, let's look at some common verbs that you're going to be using all the time.
Okay.
Things like eat, drink, like play, watch, read, write, go.
Yeah, these are like your everyday verbs.
Right.
The ones you're going to be using constantly. And seeing how they fit into the SVO structure will really help you solidify that pattern in your mind.
So give us an example with one of those verbs.
Okay, let's take the verb drink.
Okay.
You could say, she drinks tea.
Okay.
So she is the subject. Drinks is the verb. Tea is the object.
Great. Nice and simple.
Simple and clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about another example, maybe with the verb play?
They play football.
Okay, so they is the subject. Play is the verb. Football is the object.
Exact.
Now it's time for our listeners to jump in here. We want you to create a sentence using the verb watch.
Yes.
So any subject, any object, just make sure you've got that watch verb in there.
Go ahead. Give it a try.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you might have come up with something like, I watch TV.
Yeah.
Or he watches movies.
Perfect.
Right. Again, subject, verb, object.
It's all about getting that core structure down.
Exactly. Now let's zoom in on those subjects for a moment. Those who or what words that we were talking about. Some of the most common ones in English are I, you, he, she, we, they.
Right. These are like your basic subject pronouns, and being comfortable using them is key.
Okay, so let's pair them up with some verbs and objects and practice seeing these sentences out loud. So listeners, repeat after us.
Okay.
I write stories.
You read books.
He plays cricket.
She drinks coffee.
We eat lunch.
They go to school.
Awesome. I think saying those out loud really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it more real.
And gets it into your system. Okay, now let's take this up a notch with a little role play.
Oh, fun. I like role plays.
Okay, so you are going to be the student,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask you some simple questions. And your job is to answer using those clear, concise subject-verb-object sentences.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so tell me, what do you do every morning?
I brush my teeth. I take a shower. I eat breakfast.
Excellent. And what do you usually eat for breakfast?
I eat eggs and toast.
Okay.
Sometimes cereal.
And what do you drink?
I drink milk or juice.
Okay, great. See how nicely those answers all followed that SVO pattern?
It's a natural fit.
Now, listeners, it's your turn. Imagine you're answering these questions. We're going to ask you the same ones and give you a moment to think about your response. All right.
Okay, so first question. What do you do every morning?
Take your time. Think about it.
Okay. Next question. What do you eat for breakfast?
What's your go-to breakfast?
And finally, what do you drink with your breakfast?
Do you have a favorite morning beverage?
Great job.
Even just formulating those answers in your mind, that's practice.
It is, yeah.
And the more you practice, the more natural this will
It
become.
will start to feel automatic.
Exactly. Now, I think it's worth talking about some common mistakes that learners make with this structure, just so we can be aware of them and avoid them.
Right, because sometimes it's helpful to know what not to do.
Okay, so what's a big one you hear?
One very common mistake is forgetting about that S at the end of the verb in the present simple tense
Right.
when you're using he, she, or it. So, for example, you might hear someone say, she eats apples.
Okay.
But the correct form is she eats apples.
Right, because it's that third person singular. I
Exactly.
agree. Okay, what's another common mistake you hear?
Another common one is forgetting the subject altogether. Like just saying, is raining.
Right. And
But in English, you need that subject.
you need that subject there.
You need to say, it is raining.
It's almost like that placeholder subject.
Yeah, it is a placeholder subject. And it's important because it really emphasizes that you need someone or something doing the action.
So every sentence has to have that who or what.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's make this fun. How about a little sentence building game?
Okay, I like you.
All right, so we're going to give you a subject, a verb, and an object.
Okay.
And your job is to put them in the right order, that SVO order, to make a grammatically correct sentence.
All right.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. They play guitar.
Okay. Let me think.
Take your time.
They play guitar.
Excellent. You got it.
Nailed it.
Okay, how about this one? She reads a book.
Oh, this is tricky with the S.
It is.
Okay, I think I got it. She reads a book.
Perfect. Well done.
Is.
All right. Now let's see how we can put all of these simple sentences together to make a mini conversation,
Okay.
just to show how this can work in a real interaction.
Great idea.
So I might say, hi, what do you do on weekends?
I play football, I watch movies, I visit my friends. What about you?
I read books, I cook food, I go shopping.
That's fun.
And there you have it, a simple but effective conversation.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can convey with just these basic SVO sentences.
Exactly. And we encourage you to try practicing this conversation with a friend or even just say it out loud to yourself.
It'll help make it stick.
All right, before we wrap up, let's just do a quick recap of what we've covered.
Okay.
So the main takeaway, remember that most basic English sentences follow this subject-verb-object order.
Right.
So you have your subject, who's doing the action, your verb, the action itself, and your object, who or what is receiving the action.
And use the correct form of the verb. Don't forget about that S for he, she, and it.
Absolutely. Always include the subject. Every sentence needs a doer.
No floating verbs.
No floating verbs.
Yeah.
And finally, practice, practice, practice.
The more you use these structures, the easier and more natural they will become.
And remember, we learn by doing. So for your homework, your practice exercises, try writing down 10 simple subject-verb-object sentences.
Yeah, get creative. Use different subjects, verbs, objects. Just play around with it.
Absolutely. And then once you've written them, say them out loud.
Yes.
That's important.
Make those sounds.
And if you have the opportunity, record yourself and listen back.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can learn by listening to yourself.
Right.
You pick up on little things you might not have noticed before.
Absolutely. And of course, the best practice is to use these sentences in real conversations with other people.
Yeah. Get out there and talk.
Don't be shy. Use those simple sentences.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the subject-verb-object structure in English.
We hope you found this helpful and that you're feeling more confident about building your own sentences.
And remember, even understanding this basic structure opens up so many possibilities for you to express yourself in English.
It's a fundamental building block. So think about it. What simple sentence will you create next?
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye for now.